Okay, on page, I believe it's 459, around that area. It talks about ragged arrays, and a ragged array means I have a two-dimensional array where maybe this row doesn't have that many columns, and this row has more columns, and so it's called a ragged array. It's kind of is it okay to have? Yeah, it's okay to have, but you just have to kind of deal with that. On page 467 through um, 473, it talks about a search array. And basically, if I go ahead and let me just go ahead and bring it up. Well, I think I actually have one. Yeah, let's take a look at it. So here is the search array. And here's how it works. We got 87, 75, 98, 100, and 82. So here's basically what it does. It's what we call a bubble sort array. Think of a bubble floats to the top. So what we do is we look at each element and we always check to see if it's basically equal to or greater than the one on top of it. If it's less than the one on top of it, we float that one up. And we keep floating it up till they're all in the same exact order. So basically what we have is we've got int tests, we got the left and right square brackets, so it's an integer array. We're calling this array tests, and we're going to go ahead and instantiate it with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different elements. And so we basically have an array with or has data in it. Int results, basically just a variable called results, and I say results is equal to sequential search tests 100. So you can see that sequential searches is it's italicized. That means it's a method, a static method somewhere in this class, and I'm passing the array tests and the number 100. Okay, so this says search the array for the value 100. So this is just a search array. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not a sort array. This is just a search array. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to confuse you. So this is just a search array. So this one is going to look for the number 100. So here we have if results equals -1. You did not earn 100 on any test. So what this says is results is going to get set to -1 if we don't find anything else. We will basically find something. So here's what it does. So if we go into the sequential search, here we are bringing in an array. Here we are bringing in the value. We've created some local variables. We've got a Boolean switch, and here's our index set to 0. Element is equal to -1. So right away we set it to equal 1. So if it doesn't get set, it stays equal 1. Found equals false. So while not found and the index is less than the array length, if the array index equals a value, we say found true, and the element is equal to the index, and then we return the element. Okay, so that's all we do. So not too bad. If we run this guy, it basically comes back and says you earned 100 on test number 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Not too bad. Okay, so here's the sort, the bubble sort I was talking about. So here we have a public static void main. We've got an int left and right square bracket, so it's an array. We're going to call this values, and it's going to be set to 5, 7, 2, 8, 9, and 1. And so I'm going to say the unsorted values are, and go ahead and print out all the different values. Okay, so then they come in here and say selection sort value. So again, you see it's italics, so that means it is a static method somewhere in this class. So I'm going to pass it values, which is the entire array. So I come in here, and here's my selection sort. I'm receiving this array. It's an integer array, and I'm creating 1, 2, 3, 4 different integer variables, local variables. One's called start scan, index, and min value. So then I've got a for loop, and this for loop says start scan equals 0, and while the start scan is less than array.length -1, start scan plus plus. Looks a little different, doesn't it? So again, array.length 1. What's that mean? Well, the array.length is going to tell us how many elements there are. Dot -1 gets us basically to that last element. Okay. Min index is equal to start scan. What's start scan first time in here? It's a 0. Min value is the array start scan. So whatever the first element is. And then for index equals start scan plus 1, index less than the array dot length. Okay, so I've got another for loop going on here. So I'm doing a for loop inside of a for loop. And I'm saying if the array index is less than the min value. What's min value set at? The very first element. So if it's less than that, I say the min value is equal to the array dot index, and the min index is equal. But if it's not, so basically again what it's doing is it's starting with this guy, and it looks at the one previous and it says if this one less than that one, then switch spots. That's what it's doing. And that's what it keeps doing all the way through there. It keeps kind of, so again the lowest one will float to the top, and then the next lowest, the next lowest, the next lowest, the next lowest. And that's really all this is doing. So if we run this guy, and the values are 572891. That's what we started with in the array. And the sorted values are 1, 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9. So pretty cool stuff. So again, this is kind of one of those programs you kind of want to copy and put into your nice little cubby hole of your computer. So if you ever need to sort something, you can throw that into an array and then use this guy to basically get things sorted. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is the array list class. I'm starting at page 476. Now this is a class, so this is basically just like we've dealt with in chapter 6. We have to instantiate it, we have to utilize it, it's got methods, it's got instance variables, the whole works. So let me just bring up the program. It's called the array list demo 1. So here's array list demo 1. And if we look at it, we've got array list, that's the class name, and this time we're using a left and right greater than sign, and it says string. So what this says is it means it's an array list string, so it only contains string data. And so this is a name list array list, and it's initialized, or I'm sorry, it's instantiated as a new array list and string. Okay, so array list string, we have to have those in there. And then this name list now has a whole bunch of different methods available. So if I do a control space right after that period, look at all the different methods that are available to us for this array list class. Okay, so this is no different than what we've done in the past by creating an object from a class, except this time we have to put in the parameters. What is the data type of this guy? And so now instead of doing a array element number equals this, I just say namelist.add, and it's going to add James, it's going to add Catherine, it's going to add Bill, and then I say system print out the array list has namelist.size. So now if we look, size is the same thing as a length for an array. Object stored in it, and then I have for int index equals 0, index less than the name list size. So we have, this is nothing new except the dot size instead of the dot length, and then index plus plus. And I say sysout print line name list dot get. So here's my array list object. Dot get is a method, and it's expecting an integer data type to bring back that particular element, I should say array list element. Okay, so we can use it kind of, so getting it is kind of like an array. So if we run this guy, it basically comes back and says the array list has 3 objects stored in it, James, Catherine, and Bill. Not that bad. So pretty straightforward stuff. Now if we take a look at demo 2, same thing, same array list setup, same names added. We basically say how many are in it, and this time the for loop is just saying string name. So what that says is create a variable called name. Each time you go through this, take whatever's in this name list one element at a time and place it into name. So first time through, it grabs the first element, throws it in there, the second element, third, fourth, depending on how many there are. So the great thing about this, we don't have to know the length. We don't have to know anything. It just automatically takes care of it. So we will actually get the same exact results. So we run this, and sure enough, the array list has 3 objects in it: James, Catherine, and Bill. So not a big deal there. If we take a look at the next one, there we have the same exact thing. We're creating an array list. We're adding these names. We're stepping through and asking you to enter a new name. Let's see. So far, I get name list. So here we're showing the index name and we're showing the index name get. Okay. So same thing. We're just going through each element at a time through the array list this time and displaying them. Then I come in here and say namelist.remove number 1. Now realize this is 0, 1, and 2. If I remove number 1, that should remove Catherine. And then if we go through that array list again and display all the names in the array list, we should not see Catherine. So the great thing about array lists is we have a remove method. It allows us to remove something. So if we run that, index 0 is James, index 1 is Catherine, index 2 is Bill. The item at index 1 is removed. Here the items now. See, the item at index 1 is removed. Index 0 is James. Index 1 is now Bill. So pretty cool. So now we can add and we can remove. So let's take a look at the array list demo number 4. And here, again, everything's going to pretty much start out the same exact way, except in this one, we've got the array list, adding those 3 names. We step through and show this time we say namelist.add 1 Mary. So what we're saying is add a new string to this array list called Mary at index number 1. So now let's see what that does. And then Mary was added at index 1, so here are the items now. Now let's see how that works. I want to go through it. Does it replace number 1 or does it truly add? So let's run it and see what happens. So run as job application and James, Catherine, Bill, so 0, 1, 2, and now it's got 0 James, 1 Mary, 2 Catherine. So it does that. It does an insert. It pushes the other 2 down and puts that one in that spot. So that's pretty cool. So we can add right smack dab in the middle of an array. So pretty cool. Array list, I should say. So the methods make and break these particular items. So let's take a look at number 5 here. And number 5, again, it looks like it's going to start pretty much the same way. We got an array list, add those 3, we go through, basically display them at each index. This time, namelist.set 1 Becky. Now, in this case, we now have James, Catherine, and Bill. This time, Becky's going to be replaced. Is going to replace Catherine, because what we're saying is set the first number 1 array to this new name. So again, if we run that, there we have 0 James, 1 Catherine, 2 Bill, 0 James, 1 Becky, 2 Bill. So actually set will replace what's already there. So last one is number 6. This time we got an array list bank account. This time, I'll tell you what, I got 40 seconds left. Let's go ahead and stop it here and we'll continue this on with the next video.